Alright, this is your final review for your chapter 7 test. So follow along, I'm going to go through this. The proofs, like I said, they did not come out on my PDF, so I just put the answers there so you could look them over for yourself. But I'm going to go through all the questions, the solving questions, so you have them. Okay. All right, find the sum of the measure of the interior. Remember, there's a difference between sum and each. When it says each, you have to divide by the number of sides. This does not say each. This is just asking for the sum of the measure of the interior of a 14 gon. So again, you have to show work for these questions. 14 minus 2 times 180. Once you subtract, you're going to get 12 times 180, and your answer should have been 2160. Looking at number 2, find the sum of the measure of the interior. Again, same question, but we're using a 20 gon. So 20 minus 2 times 180, that's going to give me 18 times 180. If you solved it correctly, 3240 should have been your answer. 3,240. Looking at the next question, find the sum of the measure of the interior angles of a convex polygon. The sum of the measure is 720 degrees. So I need to work backwards for this. I'm going to use, I don't know, I'm trying to find the number of sides. So number of sides minus 2 times 180 equals 720. Divide by 180. I'm going to get n minus 2 equals 4. And then add 2. That's going to give me 6 for the number of sides, and that is a hexagon. Has 6 sides. All right, looking at the next one, the sum of the measure of the interior angles of a convex polygon is 2,520. So same thing we did before, I'm trying to find the number of sides. So the number of sides minus 2 times 180 is going to give me 2,520. So divide both sides by 180. I'm going to get the number of sides minus 2 equals 14. Add 2 to both sides. The number of sides is 16, and that is a 16 gon. Looking at number 5, this has 4 sides. So I know that interior adds to equal 360. They want me to solve for x. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to add all my sides, 100 plus 130 plus 66 plus x equals 360. So adding everything, I'm going to get x plus 296 equals 360. Subtract 296 from both sides of my equal sign. X is going to equal 64, and that is my answer for the missing angle. Looking at the next question, same thing. I have 4 sides. It's going to give me 360 degrees for the sum of my interior. So I'm going to take x plus 154 plus 88 plus 29 and set it equal to 360 degrees. I'm then going to get x plus 271 equals 360. Subtract 271 from both sides. I'm going to get x equals 89, and 89 degrees is my answer. Looking at number 7, I'm going to first add all of my sides, figure out the measure of the interior. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So I'm going to take 6 minus 2 times 180 to give me the sum of my interior. I'm going to get 720 degrees. So next I'm going to go ahead and add everything. 102 plus 146 plus 120 plus 124 plus 158. Don't forget your x equals 720. Add everything. I'm going to get x plus 650 equals 720. subtract 650 from both sides of my equal sign. X is going to equal 70 degrees, and that's my answer for my missing angle. Looking at the next question, again, I have 6 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know the interior is going to be 720 degrees. So same thing as before, adding all my angles, 121 plus 96 plus 101 plus 162. Don't forget that 90-degree angle, and X equals 720. So I'm going to get X equals, or not X equals, X plus 570 equals 720. Subtract 570 from both sides. And X is going to equal 150. That's my answer for X. Looking at number 9, find the measure of angle X and Y. Looking at it, angle X and Y are going to be congruent. They're equal. So first I need to find the measure of the interior. I'm going to have 5 sides. 5 minus 2 times 180 is going to give me 540 degrees. That's the sum of my interior. Now I'm going to add everything. I'm going to add 47 plus 119 plus 90 degrees. Don't forget that 90 degrees for angle Z. And 2x. Why am I saying 2x? Because both of them are the same measure. Equals 540 degrees. So if I go ahead and I add everything, I'm going to get 2x plus 256 equals 540. I'm going to subtract 256 from both sides of my equal sign. 2x equals 284. Dividing by 2, both angles are going to be 142 degrees. Okay, again, that's for both angles because they're both congruent. Looking at the next one, this is asking me to find the value of X for my exterior angles. Exterior angles, the sum always equals 360. So same thing as before, I'm going to add everything. So 58 plus 39 plus 50 plus 48 plus 59 plus 2x equals 360 degrees. 2x because they're giving me 2 x's. So I'm going to take 2x plus 254 equals 360. I'm going to subtract 254 from both sides. 2x equals 106. Divide by 2, and x is 53. Looking at number 11, it says find the measure of each interior angle and each exterior angle of a regular 18-gon. So keywords here, they're telling me I need to find each, so I know I have to divide. So finding my interior, I need to find the total measure of my interior, the sum of the measure of my interior, and then divide it by 18. So it's going to look like 18 minus 2 times 180 divided by 18. I'm going to get 16 times 180 over 18. I'm going to get 2,880 divided by 18. If you divide correctly, that's 160 degrees. And then for the measure of my exterior, exterior is always 360. And divide by the number of sides, which is 18. That's going to give me 20 degrees. So the measure of each interior angle is 160. And the measure of each exterior angle is 20. All right, looking at number 12, this is a parallelogram, so we know opposite angles are congruent and opposite sides are congruent. So I'm going to have D minus 21 equals 105. Add 21 to both sides. D is going to equal 126. And then I'm going to have Z minus 8 equals 20. Add 8 to both sides. Z equals 28. Looking at 13. They want me to find the measure of angle B. First, I'm going to look at it. What do I know? These are consecutive angles. So I have to subtract from 180. 180 minus 51 is going to give me 129. So I know my missing angle is 129 degrees. Looking at number 14. They want me to find the measure, or not the measure, they want me to find segment MQ. That's this entire segment. So again, parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. So if MP is 8.2, PQ is also 8.2. So I'm going to take 8.2 times 2. I'm going to get 16.4. So that is my answer for MQ. Explain your reasoning. Diagonals, okay, we said it's parallelogram. Diagonals theorem. MP is equal to PQ. And MQ equals 2 times 8.2. And that's my answer for 14. All right, looking at 15, they want me to find the measure of angle LMN. What do I know about the measure of LMN? I have consecutive angles from what they're giving me. These are my consecutive angles. So I'm going to take 180 and subtract 100. LMN is 80 degrees. Finishing the question by the blank. This is going to be consecutive angles, parallelogram, consecutive angles theorem. LMN and angle QLM are supplementary. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Looking at number 16, find the measure of angle NQL. So similar to the last one. Again, consecutive angles are supplementary. So you're subtracting and your angle is 80 degrees. So finishing the statement, giving me my reasoning, same thing as before. This is consecutive, parallelogram, consecutive angles theorem, and angle QLM, they are supplementary. Looking at 17, find the value of each variable in the parallelogram. Some students had some difficulty on this. Yes, we know that opposite angles are congruent. However, I cannot just go ahead and solve for my opposite angles. I have to solve for B first. So looking at B, I know that again, these are consecutive angles. So I'm going to add them to equal 180. B minus 10 plus B plus 10 equals 180. These 10s are both going to cross out. They're going to cancel. So I have 2B equals 180. Divide by 2. I know B is going to equal 90. So if B is 90 and I'm plugging it in, I'm going to have 90 minus 10. That's going to give me 80 degrees over here. So C is also 80 degrees. And then 90 plus 10, that's going to give me 100 degrees over here. So D is also 100 degrees. Looking at 18, identify the theorem used to show that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So they're telling me that it is a parallelogram, looking at my angles, and we know that opposite angles are congruent, and that is converse. Looking at 19, same thing, identify the theorem that you can use to show that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. I'm looking at my sides, so this is going to be parallelogram, opposite sides, converse. Looking at 20, again, identify the theorem. It's giving me my diagonals. So this is parallelogram diagonals converse. Looking at 21, I'm still identifying the theorem. It's showing me that my opposite sides are parallel and congruent. So that's opposite sides parallel and congruent theorem. Looking at 22, identify the theorem that you can use to show that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. They're showing me my diagonals. So this one's going to be parallelogram diagonals converse. All right, looking at 23, it says find the value of x and y that makes the quadrilaterals a parallelogram. So what do we know? Going back to our theorems, opposite sides are congruent. So setting them equal to each other, I'm going to have 4x plus 6 equals 7x minus 3. Subtract 4x from both sides. And I'm going to add 3 as well. I'm going to get 9 equals 3x. Divide by 3. X equals 3. And then looking at my y's, I'm going to have 4y minus 3 equals 3y plus 1. Subtract 3y from both sides. And while I'm at it, I'm going to just go ahead and add 3. So I'm going to get y equals 4. So x is 3, y is 4. Looking at number 24, solving for x and y. Same thing, looking at it, I know opposite angles are congruent. However, I cannot just solve for x and y, I have to plug in because looking at it, these diagonals have an x and a y, so I need to solve for x first. So solving for x, I'm going to have 4x plus 13 equals 5x minus 12. Subtract 4x from both sides. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Canceling out. 25 equals x. And now solving for my y. I'm going to have 4y plus 7 equals 3 times 25. I'm plugging in my x minus 8. I'm then going to get 4y plus 7 equals 75 minus 8. 4y plus 7 equals 67. Subtract 7 from both sides. 4y equals 60. And divide 4 for my last step. Y is going to be 15. Looking at 25, find the measure of the numbered angles in the rhombus DEFG. So they are telling me that this is a rhombus. Information we have to know about a rhombus. My diagonals intersect at a 90 degrees, and my diagonals bisect my angles. So 4 is also 27. 2 is also 27. 1 is also 27. And I need to be able to find 5 and 6. So I'm going to look at it as if this is one triangle. This is a right triangle, so I know the two acute angles also have to equal 90. So all I'm going to do is subtract 90 or 27 from 90. So if you subtracted correctly, you should have had 63. So angle 5 is 63 degrees, and angle 6 is also 63 degrees. So plugging in what I have, number 1 is 27. Number 2 is 27 degrees. 3 is 90. 4 is also 27. And 5 and 6 are 63. Again, you have to know properties of a rhombus to answer this question correctly. All right, same thing. 26 is also giving you a rhombus. So looking at this one, I have to be able to solve. Again, intersects at a 90 degrees. Your diagonals are perpendicular. 4 is also 28. I'm sorry, not 28, 48. 5 is also 48. And again, I'm looking at this as if it's one triangle. So 90. I'm going to subtract 48 from 90. I'm going to get 42. So 3 is 42. 2 is 42. So I have 90 for 1. 2 is 42. 3 is 42. 4 is 48. And 5 is also 48. Looking at 27, same thing. I'm dealing with a rhombus. 5 is also going to be 106. And then 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all congruent. So in order for me to find this, I'm going to subtract 106, thinking of it as a triangle from 180. I'm going to get 74 left over and divide 74 divided by 2. It's going to give me 37. So 1 is 37. 2 is 37. 3 is 37 degrees. And 4 is also 37. So they're all 37 except 5. 37, 37, 37, 37 degrees. And 5 is 106. Twenty-eight says find the measure of each angles in an isosceles trapezoid. So what do we know about isosceles trapezoid? Your base angles are congruent. So J is also going to be 118. And then K and L are consecutive angles. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So if you subtract correctly, this is going to give me 62 degrees. So angle L is 62 degrees and angle M is also 62 degrees. So L is 62 degrees, M is 62 degrees, and J is 118 degrees. Looking at 29, same thing, isosceles trapezoid. R is also going to be 82. I again have consecutive angles, so T and Q are going to be the same. If you subtracted correctly, you should have had 98. So T is 98, as well as Q is 98. And then R is 82 degrees. That was from what was given. Looking at 30, find the length of the midsegment. For some of these, you did not have to show your work. However, show your work means you're getting credit. What's in between 10 and 18? Yes, we should know it was 14. However, showing my work, I'm going to add 10 plus 18. Divided by 2, I'm going to get 28 over 2, and that's how I'm getting 14. So, looking at 31, again, you could show your work differently, but using the formula, it should be 10 plus x, divided by 2 equals 7, multiply both sides by 2, 10 plus x equals 14, subtract 10, x equals 4. However, you could look at it and subtract. 10 to 7, I'm subtracting 3. And I'm also subtracting 3 to get to my 4. But if you're giving a decimal, sometimes it's not that easy. So I would plug this into my formula. I'm going to have 11.5 plus x divided by 2 equals 18.7. Multiply both sides by 2. 11.5 plus x equals 37.4. Subtract 11.5 from both sides of my equal sign. X equals 25.9. Looking at 33, I'm given a kite. What do we know about kites? These angles are congruent. Keep in mind, pay attention to where those angles are. Okay, it's the 2 angles on the vertex of the non-congruent sides. So I know 4 sides is going to give me 360 degrees. So I'm going to add everything and set it equal to 360. So I'm going to have 100 plus 40 plus 2x because they're both congruent equals 360. So I'm going to have 2x plus 140 equals 360. Subtract 140. 2x equals 220. Divide by 2. X equals 110. Or angle G. They wanted angle G, so it's angle G equals 110. Looking at the next one, same thing. It is a kite. This is also equal to 110. They want me to find the measure of angle G. Again, there are 4 sides, so I know the sum of the interior is 360. So I'm going to take 60 plus 110 plus 110 plus x equals 360. I'm going to get x plus 280 equals 360. Subtract 280. X equals 80. So the measure of angle G is 80 degrees. Looking at number 35, same thing. This angle right here is congruent to the other angle, so this is also 90 degrees. So I have 110 plus 90 plus 90 plus x equals 360. So I'm going to get x equals 290. Or x plus 290 equals 360. Subtract 290 from both sides of my equal sign, and x equals 70. All right, this is a proof question. Again, you guys will have one proof completely blank. This one hopefully was on the easier side. Looking at it, A is parallel to CD. AB is parallel to CD. BC is parallel to AD. This is definition of a parallelogram. Looking at the next one, I have ABD is congruent to CDB. If you look at those angles on the diagram, those are alternate interior angles. So this one's going to be alternate interior angles theorem. This one we should know is reflexive. And then going back to the top, I'm going from this one to the top. I'm going from something being equal to congruent and congruent to equal. So looking at it, this one is going to be definition of congruent angles. And then I'm going to the measure of angle B is ABD plus CBD. That's angle addition postulate. And then the measure of angle B is equal to the measure of angle D. They kind of gave me the statement before. That's substitution. But for this one, there was no substitution in the options. So we're going to go ahead and use transitive. And then again, something equal to congruent for angles, definition of congruent angles. And then I'm stating that my triangles are congruent using my side, my angle, and my sides. So that's angle, side, angle. Or is it side, angle, side? Let me see. It's angle right here, A, B, D, side. And then I proved that these were also congruent. BD right here. Okay, so this is angle, side, angle. And then if I want to prove that there is a side or an angle congruent within my triangle, that is corresponding parts of congruent angles or corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, CPCTC. And that's it for this proof. Looking at this one, my reasons did not come out on here, so I did just fill in the answers. I don't remember what the reasons are, but please check your work. This was the last piece of the last proof, number 38. And then same thing for 39. My reasons did not come out, but I did go ahead and state my statements. Again, check your work, please. And then the last question, find the sum of the measures of the interior of a convex nonagon. This one's pretty easy. This one's back to the beginning. 9 minus 2 times 180. It's going to give me 7 times 180. And my answer for this is 1,260 degrees. This is your last review. Please study for your test.